Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar of the day on Studio Suite. My name is Joel Stoner, and I am the founder CEO of Alter Media. And today we're talking about equipment rental. Some housekeeping notes. We're going to be about 45 to 60 minutes. We are recording this, and it will be posted to our site in a week or so. Type any questions as they come up, and I'll either try to answer them inline or at the end. We are doing webinars most Thursdays. There's a schedule on our site. I'm not sure yet if we're doing one next week, so stand by for information. If you receive the email for this webinar, you'll receive an email for the next one, whether that's next week or the following. And with that, let's move off to Studio Suite. So we're talking about equipment rental today, so it seems the first place to start would be in the equipment inventory module. But there are a couple little bits that I want to lay out some foundational stuff first. One is all of your equipment needs to be somewhere. So that is in a room, most likely. So I'm going into the rooms module. Here is a list of all of my rooms, and notice I have one called the equipment locker. And if I hit the go to button on that, I see the details. And then I've got a red dot on my installed equipment tab. And that's going to show me all the equipment that's in my equipment locker. And as I flip through the different rooms, of course, I can see different stuff that's in there. So let me go back to my equipment locker. And I'll just jump to one of these. And there's a couple different ways that we create equipment. There's, what we've learned over the years of doing this is that different kinds of equipment need to be managed in different ways. There's just your basic stuff, and we call those items. And up until Studio Suite 10, that's been the way that you create equipment. They're all basically the same. But with Studio Suite 10, we've added two new kinds of equipment. One is called collections, and that's when you've got a bunch of something. For example, like cameras or maybe hard drives is a good example, where you've got a whole slew of them, and you do need to track them uniquely because they all have different content on them. But when you schedule them in advance, you don't really care at that point which one you're scheduling. So if I know that, next Tuesday I'm going to need 5 hard drives for a project, today I don't care which ones they are, but I know I need them, and so I need to reserve them now. And I don't want to pick which ones they are now because I don't know or care, but I just know I need them. So those are collections, and we liken it to kind of like an art collection, where you've got a lot of stuff that's important and valuable. You need to track it specifically, but maybe you don't always know which one you're going to book yet. And then there's things like pools. An example of a pool would be like sandbags, or maybe you've got 100 of the same kind of light, and you don't really care which one is which. They're all the same. You may not even have separate barcodes or serial numbers for them. They're all just like in a pile on the floor, and you pull things out of there, just kind of randomly. So there's 3 different kinds of equipment. So let's create a couple because I want to show you that process. And to do that, I'm going to grab a little website here from Red Camera. And this is not a commercial for them, but they just have a cool website. So I've got a lens here, and I'm going to come into Studio Suite and hit the new button. And because I had item selected, it's going to create an item for me. So I'm just going to type red there. Actually, I've got a menu option there. So I'm going to call this a prime lens. Actually, prime, what's the millimeters on here? Let's call it 25 millimeters lens. And I'm going to give it a serial number of whatever and a barcode of 9999. And we could put in price and a bunch of other equipment information. Maybe I should just briefly touch that. Obviously, purchase date is pretty self-explanatory. Leasing or owning it. Where do we get it from would be the store. The version is, if it's software, what version is it? Some hardware has versions as well. Warranty expiration, smart sort. Don't really worry about that. That's an older thing that some people still use. Do we include this in our list of promotional equipment, that we advertise? I'd say yes. The weight, sometimes that's important if you're shipping this stuff. Dimensions could be important if you're putting together packaging that you need to put in. And if it's no longer in service, what date did it go out of service? Cost is what you paid for it. Let's see, how much is this one? 42.50. 42.50. What it's worth, any down payment, let's say we put 1,000 down on this, and a monthly payment of, I don't know, $100. And we can see our earnings. So it's showing me the price of it minus any bookings that we've done. And eventually, hopefully, that'll turn into a positive number instead of a negative number. If it's leasing, what the number is, the expiration number. And this one's interesting, the owned by. Um, so I'm saying that this piece of equipment is owned internally, and this is a list of the companies that I am running. So I've got Planet Perfect Post, and maybe I've got Planet Perfect Rentals. So let's say that's the name of my company. Another interesting thing here is that we can say that this piece of equipment is actually owned by someone else. So I'm going to say owned externally. And this is going to be a list of my vendors from the contacts module. So I've got a vendor here called Vendors Are Us. Very creative and clever there. And so I'm putting this equipment in my inventory, but it really belongs to somebody else. And this is what allows me to kind of re-rent other people's equipment. And you would want to set up the stuff that you rent from them within Studio Suite. It poses as yours, but it's not really yours. And you can do searches and reporting on this as well. So how much rentals did we do for Vendors Are Us versus our internal company of maybe Planet Perfect Rentals? Insured by, you may have multiple insurance companies, the IP address, subnet mask, and the origin. Sometimes this is important. If you are shipping things internationally, they need to know where it was created from. I'm going to jump back to insurance for a second because there's a little tidbit that's important for rentals over in the contacts module. If you are renting to clients, you want to make sure that they've got some insurance for the stuff that they're renting. So I'm running over to the contacts module, financial tab, invoices subtab, and here I can see what this customer's insurance company is, that we have a certificate for them on file, and when it expires. And so I'm going to see this piece of information when I book a project for this particular client, and I would see that their insurance certificate either isn't or is on file, and when it expires. Sometimes that could be very important to know. So let's jump back into equipment, and let's go to that lens that we were just working on. And I'm going to go back to this website, and I'm going to right-click on it, go down to Copy Image, and then I'm going to come back into Studio Suite, and I'm going to go paste. And so this is how you can very quickly and easily get some pictures into Studio Suite to show what this stuff looks like. Now I'm going to make this thing bookable, which means that I will be booking it, and that it can be potentially used in the calendar. I don't really need to see this in the calendar, so I'm going to say no, but it's now available as a resource for me to use on projects. And by the way, if you're working kind of exclusively in an equipment rental scenario, you may want to set up different categories. If you are mainly a production company or a post-production company, you might have it all just under equipment. But you could subdivide that into lights and cameras and audio and things like that to help categorize and subtotal things on work orders and invoices. So that's an option for you as well. And because I didn't actually, I'm just going to hit OK there. Every time we change the category, that affects the bookable status of it. And so that's why that came up. The type is also another parameter that you can subdivide things by. I'm going to call this rental. And I can also say what room it's in. So I'm just going to say that this is in my, physically, it's in my equipment locker. And I also am going to list it with publicly on my promo list as in my equipment locker. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Go back to this new item here. And I'm going to now create another item. I'm going to go over and create this lens mount. And I thought about trying to put together an Excel thing to be able to do this quickly, but I didn't get that far ahead. So this is a, put this down here, DSMC mount. I'm just going to call this a camera mount. That's a lens mount, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm going to give this a serial number and a barcode of, I think, 8888. And I'm just going to make it bookable. and don't need that in the calendar. And I'm just going to back up a second and make sure I did. Okay, so 999988888 is that guy. And I'm going to go to my next item quickly, and I've got the camera itself. So I'm going to just put this down here, create a new item, call it a red. I'm going to call this Epic M camera brain. And this thing's expensive, so I'm going to put in 31,200. And I'm going to put in a random serial number and a barcode number of 7777. So I make this bookable, and now I want to create a package. Whenever I book this item, I want some other things to go along with it. So down here in the bottom left of the screen, I'm going to click on Add, and I'm just going to type the letter R. That's going to jump me right down to my lens mount, which I've just created a minute ago. I think I picked the wrong item. I did. So let me unlink that. Get the right item. There's the one I want. And because I'm adding items to this camera brain, I'm actually changing the nature of the camera brain itself. So I'm going to see two of these, and it's also telling the lens mount that it's now related to the camera brain. So that's why we're seeing that dialog twice. And now I want to get the lens itself. So I'm just going to type R and go down to the camera brain. Expensive. I think I did the DS. Where's the lens? There it is, right there. So we see a couple of these dialogues. So now whenever I book this camera brain, I'm going to get the lens mount and the lens itself. So let's look at a couple other little things. I'm on the camera brain, and I need to create a rate for that. So go to the rates tab, and I hit the create new rate button, and this is going to be a regular rate. And we sell this by the day. And I really don't know how much these things rent for, so I'm not saying that this is a normal price, so don't quote me on that. But let's say we rent it for $1,000 a day, and I know it costs me roughly $200 a day to pay for this thing internally. And when I rent this thing, I rent it out for a 4-day week and maybe a 10-day month. And I could create multiple rates for this. And while we're talking about rates, I'm just going to point out in the upper right here is the external accounting details. So if I was going to get this hooked up into QuickBooks, I might pick the QuickBooks item that corresponds to it. The item type is inventory part. The item name is that, and the account name is, oh, I don't know. I'm just going to grab an item here. Let's say it's a graphics item. Actually, no, let's put inventory. So this is how this is going to show up in QuickBooks. So I'm going to hit continue. Now I'm going to go to the previous item, which was this lens mount. And maybe I sell this at two different prices. Maybe when I sell it as part of this package by the day, I do a same kind of 4-day week, 10-day month. And when it's part of the package, it's free. So I'm going to say no charge. Use as child item rate. That's this checkbox right here. So what that means is when it's a child of something else, we don't charge extra for it. So I'm going to hit continue. But now I need to create another rate because there's times when I need to book it where I am going to charge for it by the day. And again, I don't know what these go for. I'm going to say $100 a day, and maybe it costs me $10 a day. Similarly, and I'm going to do that 4-day week, 10-day month on that. I think I didn't type that correctly. 10-day month. And I would fill out all the QuickBooks information. And notice on this one, I am not doing the use as child item rate. I'll call this day. So I've set up two rates for my lens mount, and I think you get the idea on that. I'm just going to create one rate for my lens by the day. And I also have no idea what this goes for, but let's say it's something like that. 4 and 10-day month. And if this were the free version that comes with the package, actually, I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to say that the lens is the child item rate, and if we want to do it as another item, I'll just quickly do this free day 4 and 10. So we're setting a couple items, a couple different rates, and let me go back here. I think I did that incorrectly. I'm going to turn off the use as child item there. So I've got two rates for this lens, and now if I go back to my camera brain and I go to my detail, I can see that package. So let's just see how that works. I'm going to go into a project, and we'll create a new project. And this is my pop-up list of clients, and let's just pick, I don't know, a large company or ABC Television. We'll call this rental 1. And I'm just going to call this an actual. One little checkbox I want to point out, this one right here, continuous events. So if you are booking rooms or people and you're booking multiple days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, chances are that it's Monday 9 to 5, Tuesday 9 to 5, Wednesday 9 to 5. When you're doing an equipment rental Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, chances are it goes out Monday at, let's say, 9 a.m. and it comes back Friday or Wednesday at 5 p.m. or whatever, and it's gone around the clock. So we call that a continuous event because it's not coming back every night. And when it's checked out, it's checked out, and when it's checked back in, it's checked back in. So rentals typically are going to have this checkbox checked. And what I'm going to do right now is book this as a budget because this is a quote at this point. They've exceeded their credit limit. Okay, I'm going to ignore that for now. Okay, let me pick a different client. Won't let me do that. How about Elizabeth? Everybody needs a PO number. So I'm going to add items, and I'm going to this time show you how to find it from this picker menu, because let's say I'm doing a quote right now. I don't have barcodes. I'm not in that frame of mind. So I'm just going to type red up here, and I've got a bunch of different things. So down at the bottom, I'm going to find my, where is it? Camera brain. And as I hover over it, it's showing me the parts of it. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to show me that it's also going to book the 25mm lens and the lens mount. So go ahead and do that and add to project. There we are. So it's booked the camera with the child items. And because I set up those rates as child item rates, there's no charge for the child items that are part of that. But let's say I'm feeling greedy, and this time I actually want to bill you for it. So now I'm going to bill you for that. I'm choosing the other rates that correspond. And of course, I can override that for you. I'm going to make that 150, and I can see that price override is shown up in blue to affect the total. And so what I want to do now is email this to my client and get their approval on it. Show prices, yes. And so this is going to print out this form. And of course, you do have the ability to go into layout mode to customize this if you want to change the fonts, the colors, the positions, add some data, delete some data, things like that. For now, we're just going to hit continue. And I'm going to send this out of Studio Suite. It's pre-addressed to the client. It's from Joel, and it's got the PDF of my quote attached, and say, here's the quote. Let me know. You'd probably be a little bit more professional, and you'd even spell things correctly. So I'm not going to send that. So that goes out, and let's say we hear back from Elizabeth that, she needs one more thing. So we can also add things. Cancel that. From here. So let's say underneath the red, we need one more thing. So I'm going to click on this gear tool, and I'm going to add another child item of an expendable. Let's say, I don't know. What do we want? Let's get a bookable collection test. So that's going to come in also under the red item, and we can see all those items collapsing there. So let's go through that email process to the client, and they approve it, and then we're going to go, okay, send to actual. And so are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I am. And I hadn't done this, but had I overrided some of the time or quantity fields, it's giving me the option here to clear those because we want those time fields to be based on how much time is actually occurring. So maybe in the quote we put in 3 days or 5 of these, but in the actual, maybe we want to clear those so that they're based on what really happens. So I'm just going to hit clear even though I didn't type anything over there. So here's my project, and that's your basic rental. And then what we would do is go to the barcode view, because at this point we approved everything, but now we want to check it out. So I've got some barcode actions. I might have gone too fast there. I'm on the actual barcode view, and this is where we get some special functionality relating to barcodes, including barcode actions. So what I want to do now is check out existing items, which means that I've booked them already for this period. And now I want to check them out. So what I need to do is scan in the barcodes. So I'm going to type 7777, which is the same as scanning it. And so notice it's just checked that item out on this date and time. It's also telling me that it's due today. So I'm just going to quickly scan a couple other items here, 9999 and 8888. 1, 2, 3, 4. So those items are checked out. I don't have a barcode for this thing that I added, so I can't check that out. If I wanted to, I could click on approved, bring this guy up, change the status here to checked out. So if you don't have barcodes, it's not the end of the day. You can still do it that way. So now everything's been checked out, even though I didn't have barcodes. And now I want to check those things back in. So I go check in. Same process, 7777. And notice it's checking things back in. I'll go 9999 and 8888. And this guy doesn't have a barcode, so I'm going to click on him and go checked in. If I can find it. There it is. Save changes. So everything's now been checked in. But there's a couple aspects here that are a little deeper. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to equipment, and I'm going to talk about a new kind of equipment. Let's say we need sandbags on this as well. So I'm going to create a pool. And this is the kind of thing, as I talked about earlier, where we've got a whole pile of them. And let's see, who makes sandbags? I forget the name of them. Generic. Generic 10-pound 10 LB sandbag. I don't barcode these. They're not unique. They're not special. I have a pool of them. And let's say I have 20 of them. And all of them have the same barcode, which is called 6666. And I'm not going to put in any other information. You know how that all works. And so this is kind of unique. I'm going to hit make it bookable. I don't need sandbags in the calendar. I'm going to go back to my project, and now let's add some. So go back to my project. I'm going to click Add Items again, and I'm coming here for a certain reason. I could scan these in via that barcode. Here's the one I just made, and the reason I wanted to come here is to show you these quantities. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say for this project, I need 5. And rather than booking these uniquely, where it would take 5 line items to book 5 sandbags, because it's a pool, I can do it, and this is going to manage my inventory. So if I do this again, add items, it's going to show me now on my sandbags that I only have 15 available because I've already got 5 booked. And if I fast forward to some different days here, we can see it's going to clear out this little conflict indicator. It's also managing the quantity by day. So as I navigate around to different days, it's showing me the quantity I've got available within that date range. Another little tip here is that pools have a special indicator. That's that little bracket thing. So I'm going to just quickly find all of my stuff. So I've got a million items in my list here, and I just want to quickly show all of my pools. So I hit the right bracket, and that's going to reduce my found set automatically to all the things that I have pools of. And I've got some 24-inch rods. I own 12. I've got 12 available. And let's say I, for some reason, need 6 of those. So same thing works here. I'm going to go ahead and book that. Rather than putting in 6 line items for these rods, I've just got 1 line item. So that's how pools work. Let's talk about collections. I'm going to go make a collection. And here I'm going to go to collection. I'm going to go new. After defining as much detail as you can about this collection, including rates, click on the green Add button in the collection area at the bottom left. It's talking about this one here, and it's actually black. And then to define the members of the collection. So I hit OK. And so I'm going to call this a red. I'm in a red mood today. This is a, I'm going to go over to here. 1.8 inch red mag. Red mag. 1.8 inch. Call it 128 gigabyte SSD. Going to give it a barcode of 5555 and a purchase date of today. And I'm going to make it bookable. And I don't need that in the calendar. Here's the cool part. I'm going to say I own, I don't know, let's say 5 of them. How many items in this collection? I'm going to say 5. And what it's doing right now in the upper left corner is creating those 5 records. Now I don't have to go through the process of doing it. And I forgot a step here, which is the creation of the rate. So I'm going to go ahead and create the rate here by the day. Let's do these by the day. And I don't know, $80 a day. They cost me $20 a day. Just guessing. And we've got we do the 4-day week, 10-day month. So now I go back to my detail, and I've got a red dot on my rate, so I see it. And then there's a button here for people like me that forget to do things. Reapply collection rates to collection members, because that's every time I do this, I always forget to create the rate first. So I put a button here. So I've created the rate for the collection, which is right here. And I've got all these items over in my equipment inventory. So I'm going to hit this button, and it's going to go apply that rate I just created to all of these items. And it happened really fast. So little trick about navigation here back and forth between collections and equipment. If I click the Go To button here, it's going to take me back to equipment. If I click on the word equipment in the upper left, it's going to take me to the collection. I'm not really happy with this navigation. I just didn't have a chance to fine tune it, but it works once you know the trick. So here I am in my, it's looking at the 5 SSDs that belong to the collection. And from this collection tab, I can actually see that this is a member of a collection and that there are other members of the collection with me. So the top dot means I'm in a collection. The bottom one means there's other ones with me. And as I run through these, you'll see I'm flipping through the records at the top, and if you keep your eye at the bottom, you'll see that the ones that are related to this are changing. And if I hit this Go To, it's going to bring me into the collection. And then if I go to rates, lo and behold, yes, it has magically applied the rates that I set up on the collection to each of these. So now I've got a collection. I'm going to go into my project and let's see how these behave. I'm going to go add item. And I have a similar trick for here. So the word collection starts with a C, and C looks kind of like a left bracket. So I just hit the left bracket, and here's all of my collections. And notice that I've got 5 available, and I own 5, and there's 5 available. So I'm going to click on that today. I don't know which of those particular ones I need, but let's just say I know that I need 3 of them. So I'm going to hit Add to Project, and now I've got that single line item, and they and the prices come in, and it's handling it as a single line item. I said that already. I forgot a step. I need to go back to equipment and set up barcodes for each one of these. So I'm going to call this 1111. Now, because I'm changing the barcode, that affects the bookable status of this. So when I say things are bookable, it basically creates a clone of the item over in another table, and that's when we book it, that's really the thing that we're booking. So because I'm changing this barcode after the fact, after I've made it bookable, I'm going to get another message here. It says you've changed important information about this. Click OK. So OK. It's going to go to the next item, and I'm going to go 2222. OK. The next item, 3333. OK. 4444. OK. And I think I already have a 5555, so I'm just going to call the next one 555. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to my project. Oh, not a project, equipment. And I want to check some stuff out. I want to check out those things. So I'm going to go to my barcode view and I want to say check out existing items. Something interesting is going to happen here. Watch this. I've got my SSD there. I'm going to scan in the particular one I've got in my hand, which is 1111. It doesn't exist yet. Would I like to add it? So I'm going to say add. Notice what's happened. It came in underneath the parent, and even though my original quantity of these was 3, the parent item has been reduced to 2 because I've added an actual child item and checked it out. And I skipped over this, but the message we saw a minute ago was, hey, I've got the action here called check out existing items. And that means it has to already be there. So what I want to do is just go um, add to project and check out. That way I won't see that extra message. I'm going to scan in the second one I've got in my hands, 1, 2, 3, 4, actually 2, 2, 2, 2. And that's going to also put it underneath the red mag there. I had booked 3 of these. Now I've got 2 official ones and one still kind of placeholder, which I can expand and collapse. So now when I collapse the parent, the quantity is 3. And now I'm going to go ahead and add in that third one, scanning in barcode 3333. And now the third one has come in and it's checked out. And I can expand and collapse that. So what's cool about that is sometimes clients want to see the least amount of information possible. So you can send them their quote with everything collapsed, where we've got some sand, the camera brain and all the other parts that come with it, sandbags, rod, and some SSDs, quantity 3. That's all the client wants to know. Other clients, and probably the guys that are pulling the equipment list, want to know all the details. So we can expand them like that. And whenever we print it, it's going to print it in whatever status we've got it. So I'll say show prices, yes. So here's all the details. Now, if I go back to my barcode view, there's a special printout for that. So I'm going to print this one. Show prices, yes. And it's special because it's got some other stuff on it, specifically the barcodes. It's also got the serial numbers that I put in there. So we're seeing for each item the serial number and the barcode. Sometimes that's important when you're pulling it out. And something that we went too fast and I didn't have a chance to put it in. It's also putting in the weight and the replacement value. That comes back to that insurance question again. And also for shipping. So this is going to show us the total weight. Oh, something does weigh 3 pounds. And the replacement value would be there. That's a separate field. In fact, you know what? Let me go in. I want to populate some of those things just so we can see it very quickly. Find all. Back to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's go to, sandbags. We know those weigh 10 pounds. So I'll give that 10-pound weight guy there. My camera brain, I don't know, let's say that weighs 8 pounds. And let's put a value on these. So 31,200 is the value. The lens mount, I have no idea. Let's call it 600. I know those things are pricey. And the weight of it is 2 pounds. I think you get the idea. So we have a value. Let's call this 4,200. Let's say it's depreciated. $50. By the way, there's a depreciation schedule here. That's not the topic, but I just wanted to point that out. I want to show you how that works. All right, let's say residual value after 5 years is $1,000. I'm just going to create depreciation schedule, and boom. So I can see on a month-to-month basis how much this thing's going to be worth for accounting depreciation. Okay, so now I've got some values and some weights, and I'm just going to jump back into my project. And I'm going to go to my barcode view for my special printout. And I'm going to print this, show prices. And now we're going to see some of those values populate. Here's the weight, the replacement value. And if I go to my second page, I can see the total weight is 23 pounds. The total replacement value of this project, of all this stuff, is $36,000. And that's where that insurance value comes in. I just realized I didn't point that on the new project screen, so I'm going to go create a new project very quickly again. Jeff Allison. Down here, bottom right, is the insurance certificate on file. So if I pick my Goodby client right here, we're going to see, oh yeah, he's got his insurance certificate right there, but it's expired. So, oh, hey, by the way, Charlie, we need to redo our certificate, your insurance certificate. Let's see, am I forgetting something? I'm going to look at see if we have any questions. Yeah, we have one question. Can we import Excel? Yes, we can definitely do that. So let me show you how that works. So I'm going to go back to the equipment inventory. By the way, we're getting near the end, so if you have any questions, send them over. So I'm in my equipment inventory. I'm going to go down to the file menu, import records, file, and do I have one on my desktop? I've got some kind of file on my desktop. Let's see what that looks like. Where is it? Here it is. MCD export. I have no idea what that is. Okay, it's just something. This isn't an equipment inventory. This is somebody's invoice export. But we can see here that here's the fields on that other file, and here's the fields in my equipment. And so basically we would be able to slide things up or down. So you're probably trying to match your model and your manufacturer and things like that. And we can actually flip through the records to see what the data is to make sure it's all getting imported into the correct places. And then I'm going to go to import. Dialog came up on another monitor, and this is very important. Make sure that you check this checkbox here, perform auto enter options while importing. This has to be checked, otherwise everything's not going to work right. So make sure you do that. So I'm not going to import that because that's invoice data. I don't want that in my invoice module. Equipment module, I should say. So we talked about pools. We talked about collections. We talked about creating packages. And let's go to projects. We talked about child item rates. We talked about check-in, check-out, and those are all visible on the barcode view. There's some other things. I've got some things that are due today. So I'm going to go up to my project view. I'm on this one project right now. I'm going to go find all, and I'm going to go to some other random project. Let's say I'm working on this project right here, and suddenly I realize, oh, I need to find out what equipment is due today. So I click this button, find due today, and lo and behold, it's found our project that we just created because it has stuff that's due today. So that's how you find things that are going to be coming in today. I think I've probably got some that are overdue, so I'm just going to click this button. Yeah, it found 7 projects I've got that have overdue stuff on it. So I can just click in here and filter through these. And I guess these are overdue because they've got stuff that's overdue. See, right there. I'm going to go back to my barcode view because there's a couple other aspects that I haven't really covered yet, which is adding things via barcode and the date range. So I'm going to go to my new project that we created, our Rental 1 project, and I'm going to talk about some of these actions. And actually, I'm going to go to a different project, and I'm going to type in 1111 because I want to check the availability of this item. We've got a bunch of ways to check that. If we click add items and bring it up into that list, it's going to show us that it's actually not available. If I type in that barcode again, 1111. Oh, I have to get to the right date. So let me go back to the 9th. And look, it's going to show me that it's already booked. And if I hover over it, it's going to show me what it's booked on. So that's one way to do it. Maybe you don't want to be filtering through all your screens. You just want to do this. So it's showing me that, yep, that's a potential conflict. I've got another item called J5000. I know off the top of my head. It's showing me that the Arri Alexa camera set is available. So that's just a nice trick to be able to check availability from here. If I want to add it to the project, I'm going to type it in again. I'm on a different project now, that's fine. So I'm going to, now when I scan it in from here, it's going to do the date range that I have here in my yellow fields. So let's say we're going to book this from the 9th to the 13th. I'm going to book it as continuous. and I'm going to type in that item again, J5000. It's going to go ahead and book it on this project, and it's going to book it with the status that I had selected up here, which is checked out. And I probably should have done it in a different status so that we can see how that works. I'm going to try to find another item. Yeah, so it just brought in that P1020 item. Where is it? There it is right there. I'm going to change this to hold because this is maybe just a quote. So to do that, I'm going to check in. I've got to come up with another item. P1025. Crossing fingers if that's an item. Yeah, it booked that in there. So there's my P1025, the Lacy hard drive with the microphone and the super audio collector, because we always book those things together. So it booked them as on hold. And now maybe I'm going to check them out. So this is where I go check out existing items, P1025. Important note here. So I'm holding this item in my hand. It's going to check it out. It's telling me it's already checked out on another project. So it won't let me check it out here. But as I do this, it's only going to check out this one item. Even though it booked these, it reserved them as a package. When I'm checking them out, I actually have to check them out one at a time, unless I check it out as a package. I think I just circled the back on myself. If I'm checking it out initially, will check out the whole package. But if I book it with add to project as one transaction, and then I do check out existing, I have to scan each barcode individually. And same with the check-in. I can't just check in a whole bunch of items with one barcode swipe because that's potentially dangerous. You might be missing an item and not know it. Let's see if there's other tricks I can show you here. There's this speak checkbox. So if you're across the room working with one of those Bluetooth wireless barcode scanners, this will actually speak the item as we do that. So let me see if I can go to another, I'm going to get another date here. Let's fast forward. And I'm going to add to project and check out. And I'm going to turn on my speaker here. Let's see what this sounds like. So I'm going to do 1111.
REP RedMag 1.8 inches, 128 gigabyte SSD number 1. That item is already checked out on project 12,508.
So that's kind of neat. Little Stephen Hawking is in my computer there telling me that this item is checked out. Somebody's asked, can I mass check out or check in? Yes, you can. So I'm going to find all of my items that are checked out here. I'm going to hide the ones that are checked in. Let's see how this works. And I'm going to hide these guys because I want to show you how this works. So I'm going to hide the ones that are not checked out because I want to check them all in. So I talked a minute ago about when we check things in, it requires you to do them individually. If you look at the pile of stuff and you go, yeah, I know that's all there, I can go checked in and then set status at the top. And are you sure I want to do this? Yes, I am. And it's going to go ahead and check them all in mass. And now they're all checked back in. And the same thing works with checkout. If I wanted to check those things all back out again, well, take my word for it, it works. So we talked about going budget to actual. I think we're pretty close to done here. Any other questions that we can come up with? We talked about the insurance certificate over in contacts down here, which shows up on the new project. Oh, one more thing. Someone pointed out to me the other day that we need to have things like pickup date and delivery date. And that's right, we do. Some systems have a special field for that. When it's going to be picked up on this date, it's a special field, and then deliver on this date as a special field. And I realize we've got something better, I think. So I have this rental today, which is happening Thursday, May 9th. I probably would have put this together the other day, prior to this, but I'm going to do drop off. I've created a resource called, at least I thought I did. Oh, it's called delivery, DEL. I've got a resource here called deliver equipment, and I actually want to deliver it yesterday. So I'm going to book that. And then I've also got pickup. PI. Trying to type here. It's impossible to type and talk and do a webinar at the same time. So pick up equipment local, and then we're going to pick that up on the 10th. And obviously, we could pick whatever time was appropriate to do this. Probably more in the evening, right? Um, and there's some benefits to doing it this way because um, I've even set up rates for these. So I'm going to add these two things to my project. And so my deliver equipment service on the 8th is happening at whatever time I specified. And I'm going to charge for it. I'm going to try to sneak a little charge in there. And then the pickup is also specified, and I'm going to sneak a little charge on there. So, what the heck? If you can bill for your pickups and deliveries, go ahead and do for it. Some of your clients, or I know a lot of you deliver it and pick it up for free, but at least this gives you the opportunity to do that. You also have the option now to put these services on your calendar. And so I'm going to do that actually. I haven't set my calendar up to show that, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to find deliver. And here is my deliver equipment locally. So if this was just a field, it would be hard to put on the calendar. And it gets even better. So I'm going to go pick up equipment local. So those are down at the bottom, and I'm going to add them to my view. I'm going to go back to my calendar. And so looky here. I've got a delivery on Wednesday. And of course, it wouldn't really be that long, and we would really probably do it more towards the end of the day for tomorrow. And then if I go to the Thursday, we don't have a delivery. If I go to Friday, hey, look, we have a delivery in the evening. So what's even better about that is we can set up notifications. So I'm supposed to pick up some equipment Friday at 8:30. Maybe I want to set up a reminder to the guy that's going to do it. I want to tell him about it right now. I also want to tell him about him 1 hour beforehand, and I also want to tell him a day beforehand. And my driver is named Jason. So that's the guy that's going to get a notification. So I just hit OK. So he just got a little thing on his phone that says, hey, you've got an equipment pickup Friday at whatever clock. He'll get one of those an hour before, um, and he'll get those a day before as well. So handling the pickup and delivery as resources that you could bill for and as items that you can see on the calendar and also set up notifications for, I think is a really good way to go about it. So I'm going to shift click on this. Oh, that's right. I switched my projects to this other funky one. So here I've got that and that. So that's how I recommend you put in equipment deliveries and pickups because you can schedule them, see them on the calendar, send notifications, and bill for them. I think that is the end of our story for today. Um, last call for questions. Last call for questions. Thanks for joining us today. If you received an email notification for this webinar, you'll get one for our next webinar, which may or may not be next Thursday. Thanks very much. You'll get an email follow-up on this. Please let us know what you think. If you weren't able to sit through this, you're not here to hear this, but it's going to be recorded and posted to our site in a little bit. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to working with you soon. Bye.